You're listening to Scheduling Sin with me, Snowmill.
And it was just a large breast. And it says, "Hi, we've read your profile. Do you want to meet up tonight?" It's like, yeah. You know when you were a kid and you're on a bus and the vibrations is that, and I was like, whoa.
Well, hello, Mrs. Snow.
Well, hello, Mr. Snow.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excited. We have a very special guest today.
We do. We have a lot to talk about today, but we also have an amazing guest, yes.
Why don't you introduce our guest?
Oh, I get to introduce him. Well, hello. See, we're on Zoom, so he gets to see my little face today and maybe my tits. So we have a very amazing gentleman with us, and we'll call him Captain Barbarossa. I believe we have referred to him a couple times on our podcast, but he's been on V2V, I think. I'm not sure, more than once, maybe?
I have been on my own.
Okay.
But I've also been part of a podcast where there was like 8 of us in a hotel room.
Oh, you were part of that famous swingers all in the hotel room. Oh, yeah.
And V2V, for anybody who doesn't know, is the Vanilla to Vixen podcast.
Yes.
Our friends over in the UK. In fact, that's how we met Captain Barbarossa.
That's how we met. And we met him unexpectedly. When we went over there, we had brunch and he happened to be there, and I decided I was a little flirty with him.
Yeah.
And so he and I may have exchanged a couple text or photos.
So, welcome aboard, Captain Barbarossa.
Well, hello. Thank you for joining us today.
Also known as Mark.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
Tell us about you.
What's your favorite color?
Well,
what's your sign?
Well, I was born at a very early age.
On a very dark and stormy day.
It was dark and warm, and suddenly there was a bright light.
Okay, no, I was. I'm a single guy. I'm aged 52. Been married twice and had long-term relationships and things like that. And I guess I first got into swinging with wife number 2. We were driving. I can't remember whether we were married at this point or whether we were just before we got married. But we were driving home. I just picked her up from work, and she said to me, "I've got a friend that's got a problem. I need a bit of advice." I said, "Okay, what is it?" She said, "Well, my friend's into certain things sexually, and she isn't sure whether, well, she knows her partner's not into that. So she doesn't know whether to talk to him about it or whether to just do stuff behind his back and hope she doesn't get caught, or just not do anything in that sort of lifestyle." And I went, that's a tricky one. I said, "Well, if your friend's partner's as open-minded as I am, then maybe they should talk, and see if they can sort something out." She said, "Oh, okay, yeah, good advice."
Was it really about a friend?
You're already ahead of me, aren't you?
Everybody has a friend.
So
everybody has a friend.
When she asked that, did you kind of get that suspicion, like maybe we're not talking about a friend?
I was completely no.
Okay. Over your head, right over the head.
Yeah.
That would be me too. I'm so clueless.
Yeah. And so 24 hours later, I picked her up from work again, and we're chatting. I said, "Oh, did you speak to your friend?" She said, "Oh yeah, about that." I said, "Yeah, what's that?" She said, "I haven't actually been honest." She said, "It's not my friend, it's me." I said, "Okay, okay. What sort of things are you into?" And she said, "Well, I'm into like bondage, BDSM. I mean, really, leather and whips and all sorts of things like that, and restraints and everything." And I'd never really explored this sort of thing. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah. I mean, that's not my sort of thing." But the idea of her doing that with someone else sort of appealed to this little corner of my mind. And it was like, yeah, it's tickling my pickle a little bit. And I found it quite a bit of a turn on. So we had a chat and we agreed that, yes, she could go and find somebody on a fetish website and do that sort of thing with my blessing. Also, the fact that, and I learned at the time that a lot of BDSM and kink sort of, it has nothing to do with sex at all. You know,
Right.
a lot of the time
Yes.
they won't actually have sex. They'll just do various things and flog and different. So I was quite happy with that. And then a little while later, she said, "Look, she said, I'm feeling a bit bad because you're not really getting much out of this deal. I'm exploring this thing that I've explored a little bit, and I'm getting into that. But there's nothing in there really for you." And I'm thinking, well, actually, there is, because while you're away, my mind's going fucking overdrive. You know,
Yeah.
what's happening? What's she doing? And there's almost like a hot wife sort of scenario. So we decided to see if we could do some things. She said, "Listen, if you wanted to go and meet other girls and things like that, maybe there's something for you to explore." Well, maybe it's something we could do together.
So you never went and witnessed this. You never went and when
Nope.
she would go play.
Nope.
Is that something that she kind of said, or you did want to, or?
It was just she just wanted her thing,
Okay.
and it was separate for me, and it wasn't really my sort of bag. And it really sort of sparked my imagination as to what the hell are they up to? What is he doing with her?
Would she come home and would she tell you about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think
And
that could
was-
be pretty hot.
yeah.
Like, I mean, we
yeah.
we have those conversations about fantasies and stuff, and the idea of I want to hear about what happens.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
like
course,
while you're playing or fucking me, like tell me about what that, you know,
Would she? So sometimes BDSM, depending on the players, can get kind of aggressive. Like, did she ever come home with bruises or marks or anything like that?
Yeah. If you nothing too bad. But yeah, she used to have the odd bruise and certainly some red marks, and yeah.
Okay.
But she sort of stopped exploring that bit, and sort of like the swinging side of things took over. So her and her dom stopped seeing each other, and then we went to a party, and we met a couple there, and we ended up back at their place, and a glass or two of wine in, I'm thinking, well, clearly we're not going home tonight because we're a couple of glasses in, and we've been chatting to this couple all night, and it was a great icebreak. He just leaned forward to me after we'd been chatting and drinking for a while. I said, "So, do you want to fuck my wife?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Do you want to fuck mine?" She's like, "Yeah, okay." So we sent the girls to get themselves more reacquainted, and then we followed up, and and the next morning we were driving home, and the tension in the air, the sexual tension was like, wow, you could feel it. It was making your skin tingle.
Now, that first night, was that a same room experience? Was that a separate room experience?
Yeah. All same room. Same room.
Okay.
So we're driving. I said, "So, how are you feeling?" And she said, "I'm feeling great. How are you feeling?" I said, "Yeah, fucking marvelous." So, and that's when it started. We met this couple quite a few times. We hooked up with single guys, single girls. We played with this couple quite a bit, and eventually we split up, and it wasn't anything to do with swinging. It was other things, but we split up. We're still in touch today, actually. She messaged me occasionally and stuff like that. But it got my interest into it. So since then I've been in and out of relationships, and I've been on the scene, as it were. Yeah, and enjoyed myself with singles, couples, and
What about it is attractive to you aside from the sex? Like, everybody comes for the sex, right? But a lot of us stay for other reasons. What part of it keeps you in it?
Well, it's the different experiences. But one of the things that dragged me back into it is, and this isn't my finest moment, and a lot of people will give me pelters for this, and okay, I may deserve it. But I was in a relationship with somebody, and the sex side just completely dried up. Completely dried up. And it was a case of, okay, maybe it'll come back, but it never came back. And it was a case of, well, I'm either going to live like a monk for the rest of my life, possibly, with this girl, because I love her, or I could leave her, which I didn't really want to do, or I didn't want an affair because that just gets messy. So I thought, well, I remember I remember before I met this girl, I was on Fab for a while, so I dug out my old profile, blew the dust off it, and I found some people who were in a similar sort of situation to me, where they hadn't, they weren't after an affair. They just had a need, an itch which needed to be scratched. So,
Yeah.
so I did that for a while, and it sort of messed with my head a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I had feelings of guilt sometimes. And then I used to stop and pull away for a little while. And then, your urges come back. And although we were trying to fix things at home, it just wasn't happening. So on and off I was playing. And then we split up because there was other things. And after I split up, I realized, this girl really wasn't right for me. There was a lot of things. There was some emotional abuse in there. There was no violence or anything else like that, but it was like she was grinding me down a little bit. And I didn't realize it. It was almost like you've heard of the boiling frog or frog in boiling water thing. Yeah, it was like that. And I had no idea that it was getting me down so much until I realized it was like, whoa, hang on, and then since I left her, it was, it's very apparent, like, yeah, she was very controlling in a lot of ways, and I didn't realize it, being gaslighted and all that sort of thing. But then I was like single dingle again. I moved back to where my parents live, because they're not getting any younger. And I live there today, and I'm playing. I've been playing as a single guy. I've got a very lovely playmate, and she's a really nice girl, and she's sort of exploring this. I don't know whether I don't think she's going to be in it permanently. Whether it's just something she's exploring. So yeah, we'll just have to see where things go with that. But yeah, we're having fun, we're enjoying ourselves, and yeah, it's part of the journey, isn't it?
So the relationship you have with her is really just a play partner relationship. It's not.
It's it's a little bit more to it, but I mean, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend.
Sure.
But we spend time outside of the lifestyle and things like that. So yeah, we play together. We go to clubs together. We chat every day. We go out on dates. We've had we've had weekends away doing things. So it's not. I've had friends with benefits before. So it's a little bit. There's a little bit more to it than that. But we're both fairly recently out of relationships, the last year or so, and it's not something that we're pursuing.
Right. But it's like, do you guys just have that understanding and relationship that you can kind of play and explore but still enjoy each other's company? Yeah. I mean, no, that makes total sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's the intimacy that you get in a relationship, but without the complications. And it's good fun. Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I will say, a part of this journey in the lifestyle, like the idea of relationships and relationships dynamics and what they are and what they're not has changed. Right. Like when you kind of get into the world of dating, whenever that is, you think you're either in a relationship or you're not, you're friends or you're,
it's very binary.
It's very binary, and it's very like one or the other. And I think this is really,
absolutely.
I think this just opens up a whole other layers of intimacy and what that looks like having that level of intimacy, but not, it's a different relationship than someone that you are committed to or married to.
Yeah,
it's just different.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Which is interesting because it's. I could argue that's. I mean, obviously we're in the lifestyle, but I could argue in a way that that's good and bad.
Oh, sure. I imagine it makes it much more confusing sometimes.
I think it does. I think for some people, the idea that, hey, I'm in a relationship or I'm not that's a bright line that they can understand.
Yeah.
But once you start going down this road, particularly once you start endeavoring into poly, and you have side play partners, and the dynamics get murky quick.
Well, what's interesting is like I mean, you're my person, right? There's really no question about that. Like ride or die, right? Like we have children together, we're married, a lot of things, right? But I feel like I could go play or go on a date or be flirty with other people, and it's just not the same. Like it's apples and oranges.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
And I think you could too, but it took a while to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that kind of was a question I had for you, is that you're a little bit unique in that you've had the experience of playing both as a single male and also as part of a couple.
Yeah.
How would you say those two situations are different?
Which one's better?
Wow. They both have the pluses and minuses. I mean, it's tough for single guys. It's even tougher for single guys that have never played as a couple. I'll tell you why. Because once you've been in a couple dynamic and you see the sort of messages the couples get, and you see how guys can be, and you understand. I mean, you've mentioned it before, hey, can I come fuck your wife?
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the time.
We've had a couple. We've had some really doozies recently.
Some real doozies.
It's and you sort of learn because you're in a couple dynamic. You know what you want out of it. You know what couples want out of it. So that when friends with benefits, they come and go, don't they? And so when you're a single guy again, you sort of know what a couple is after, and it's very different to what a guy is after.
Right. That makes sense.
And you have to find out what the couple wants. It's not just a case of, hey, can I fuck your wife? They might be after somebody that does specific things. They might have different dynamics. They might have different boundaries. They might want to meet people just the once. They might want to find somebody that they can meet regularly, maybe do vanilla things with as well. There's a whole lot. And so I think once you've had the experience of being in a couple, you've got a better understanding and therefore better chance of success.
Well, sure. You understand the expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So you know how to craft a message. You know what couples get lots of. You know what couples hardly ever get any of. So I mean, anybody that gets a message off me on Fab or Swing Hub, it's a long message, and it speaks to both of them. And I even started dedicating a paragraph to each one. I'll address one, so hey, Mrs. Snow, I understand that blah 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 blah, and then I'll say something to you, Mr. Snow, and it's like the sort of things that I want to know what they're expecting out of it, and what they're expecting as a couple and as individuals, and I sort of allay fears to each one, as to why they should be interested in me. So I'll speak to the female in one of them and say, look, I'm not just after a quick shag. I like the dynamic of male, female, male threesomes. Mm-hmm. So, it's a dynamic I like, and I like the attention all on the woman. And yeah. And then I'll say to the guy, look, I've played as a couple before. I know what your fears might be.
You're on the other side. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I know the sort of things. I know that you're obviously going to be feeling very protective towards her, and you don't want anything to happen. And I know exactly how you feel. Blah 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 blah. And I'll completely respect you both. And because I involve them both in the message, and it's the same when I go to clubs, I'll speak to both people. I don't just sit there talking to Mrs. Snow all the time, and
sure.
And Mrs. just sat there thinking, well, I might as well just go pee or go and get a drink or go and have a cigarette or whatever, you speak to both of them, and it helps. So yes, as a single guy, it can be really difficult, especially if you've never been part of a couple before. But as a couple, my goodness, that could be hard as well, because if you're just looking for a single, be it a girl or a guy, you've both got to like that person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's a guy, and both you guys are straight, you still got to like that guy. You're not going to go with a complete arse hat who's, you can't stand this guy.
Right.
He's going to be shagging your missus anyway. Yeah, you got to get on with them.
Shagging your missus anyway. No, asshat. Yeah, you cannot shag my miss. Get out of here. Yeah, I get it.
But if you're a couple and you're meeting other couples, I mean, everything just like, everything is cubed by then, you know.
Hard,
she's got to like her. He's got to like her. She's got to like him. He's got to like him. And they've got to like you as well. Right. And it's like the chances of everybody liking each other and getting on the same page with each other and whoa, it's difficult.
I think about like, it took us this long. I mean, like, for me to find one person that I love, that I want to spend the rest of my life with, that I have this connection with and all the things, right? Now you want me to find it with 3 other people.
At the same time.
At the same time. Like,
and only these 3 people.
Well, right.
Like, don't just pick 3 that you like. It has to be these specific ones.
Well, right. Because they're attached or whatever. And so that's one thing about poly. Like, I imagine that is a challenge in trying to like, because there's like, I like him more than I like her.
Oh yeah, that sort of thing's going to happen.
And there has to be some level of
you can't take one for the team, can you?
Well, right, like there's got to be like on some level there's like, well, I'm not crazy, but I'm okay enough, right? But that's only going to last for so long.
Oh, and that's it. Taking one for the team. I mean, gosh, so many people fall into that trap at least once.
Man.
Yeah. And they say never again.
Never again. Yeah,
never
and
again.
It's tough.
Yeah. No, it's tough. Yeah.
One of the things as a single male, and I love your approach of talking to both partners. For one thing, that you're able to communicate that you understand.
Yeah,
that's that in and of itself. I mean, as you know, and you express is huge because couples are approached by morons most of the time. But the thing I think that, and I wonder if you can speak to this too. The thing that I appreciate potentially in that approach is that we get approached by single men all the time. Who basically say, I'm into anything, I'm into everything, I'll do anything you want.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that like,
I just smell of desperation.
I just want to fuck. And you start talking to them. It's like, well, what are you into? I'll do anything you want. Okay. Well,
yeah.
You don't get it. Like,
you can have some fun with people like that.
Well, see, like I would just want to send them pictures of goats.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I've done that a time or two. But well, really, are you into this?
How do you like these?
Yeah. What if I do this to you? No.
Yeah.
But
we've got a good collection of root vegetables.
Yeah.
Come and play.
Let's see how far this will go. But
this is going to be another segment of our show.
No,
how far can we fuck with a single male?
But to have a single guy be able to come in and confidently say, hey, this is what I like. This is what I'm into. And I understand from their perspective, it's a risk, right? Because the couple might say, well, we're not into that. Goodbye.
But you would think that it is a risk, but at the same time, like you not doing it is not going to help you.
No, it's not.
You know what I mean? Like you having a risk and them saying, I don't want to do that. You saved a lot of people a lot of time and energy.
Well, and not to mention that, but if it just so happens that we do like your root vegetables, then we're going to have a banging good time.
I am a fan of those potatoes.
But I mean, it's happened. And you have to be strong enough sometimes to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked a lot about that. That's tough.
It's happened to me before. It's happened to me quite a few times where I'd met like a single girl and her photo that was on her profile was far away. She was on a bed, like the other side of the room. And so you could just see, she's got a nice figure. But then when she opened her mouth, it looked like a bombed village. It was like, whoa.
Whoa.
And,
a bombed village.
And I've met a couple before who, I mean, I was a single guy at the time and I was on Fab and this message came in and it was just a large breast. And it says, hi, we've read your profile. Do you want to meet up tonight? It's like, yeah.
All it takes is a tit.
Where's the breast?
Oh, single guys. It's like fish in a barrel.
It is.
Oh, yeah. So I went to this pub nearby and it was fairly late at night. And I saw this couple and she was a large lady and I like ladies of all different sizes. And she just fucking launched herself at me from across the car park and stuck her tongue right down my throat like, whoa. okay, let's calm down. Let's go sit down, have a drink. And throughout the whole thing, her husband was either coughing his lungs up or going outside for a cigarette and then coming back in. Da, 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 da. And I was thinking, this is not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
She looks completely different to how I thought she was going to. I mean, I never saw her face anyway. I just saw massive boob. I'm like, yes.
Not even both tits, just one?
Facially,
come on.
I mean, it filled the whole screen.
That's great.
You gotta have better standards than that. You gotta see at least both tits. Come on.
Facially, I didn't fancy her. I didn't find her attractive. And he was like stinking of cigarettes and just smoking and coughing all the time. I thought, this is not a very erotic situation for me. So when he went out for another cigarette, well, I'm not feeling it. There's nothing going to happen tonight. And I just wanted to be straight up and honest with you. And she's like, yeah, okay, no problem. That's fine. And so so I left. And when I got back home, this is in the days before I got it on the mobile phone. I just had a basic phone then. And when I got home, switched on the computer, there was some abuse from him. What's wrong with us? And those sort of things like that. But yeah, I think some guys are so desperate they don't want to say no to anything, and like you say, they'll say yes to everything,
right?
But they won't say no to anything, and then and it doesn't. The experience isn't great for either of them.
I think that's the thing. I think you think in your head, well, if I'm open to anything, they'll have a great experience. When I think and it's the opposite, really.
But it's not honest. It's not honest anyway.
Yeah.
No.
You're not open to everything.
No.
And the problem, what I fear in that situation is that if I say, well, okay, I'll go with anything. Well, what are you going to spring on us? Right? Like, I mean,
those root vegetables come out.
Hey, hey, by the way, can I do this or this? No.
Yeah. Well, then you get to a point where then it's like that, like uncomfortable, and then people are doing things they don't want to do, and then that just gets
right. So I think that's one of my struggles with single males is because they all seem so desperate. You feel like you can't have an honest conversation with them. I would much rather have a conversation with a single male who at some point in the conversation says, you know what, I don't think we're a match. I'd feel much better about that because I'd feel more confident that if we did decide we were a match, that it was more likely to work out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, there's things which pretty much have to be there for me to say yes. I mean, if people say, by the way, we don't kiss, we'll kiss, but she doesn't kiss any other guy, I'd be like, no. One of my triggers is kissing. I love kissing.
Yeah.
And
it's the best part.
It is. And I love kissing, but some people see that as more intimate than actually having sex.
I find that just interesting. Like, I don't mind you could put your dick in my wife's mouth, but don't put your tongue in it.
So I will admit, after all the experiences that we've had, watching you make out with somebody is my favorite part. It's weird, but it is my favorite part.
I mean, I think you like other parts too.
I mean, I've seen Friends with Benefits, kissing somebody in a club, and it is erotic. But I guess some people see that as a love thing. And not necessarily.
I understand the words. I just don't understand that in practicality. But
it is odd. How they'll see sex has nothing to do with love, but kissing is. I mean, I always say that sex and love are two totally different things because we've all had sex with people we don't love, and we've all loved somebody but not had sex with them. So the two things are completely different.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
If sex and love were so strongly linked, then the world's oldest profession would not have ever existed.
Oh, I agree.
Exactly.
I agree. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
So, which do you like better? Do you like playing as part of a couple, or do you like playing as a single male better, and why?
It's difficult because it changes. I do enjoy seeing a woman enjoy herself immensely. So I do like the male sort of threesome, maybe an extra male in there as well. I do like that. At the moment, I would say, I mean, I haven't played as a single guy for quite a few months now. I haven't met anybody on my own for quite a few months, apart from at my birthday party a couple of months ago. I played with some people there, but I already knew them. I haven't reached out to anybody new on Fab or Swing Hub for a long time. I've got a good group of friends. We do parties together. They all came to a party. We have regular socials. We go to clubs together, and I've sort of found I've found my tribe.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's the one thing about it. Like this one nice thing is you can kind of go in and out what it is that you like and what it is that you don't, and you can kind of just stick with the same group and then branch out and
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I haven't played on my own for a little while. I enjoy playing, whether it's just us two playing. If we go to a club, sometimes we'll just play with each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll play with other people. Sometimes she'll fuck off and go and play with somebody and then come back to me later and like, oh, what have you been up to? Sometimes I'll watch her up to things with other people. And then we do the whole reconnection thing afterwards, which is always hot.
Yeah, it is.
So it changes. Sometimes, there's been times where I just wanted to have sex with a single woman,
Mm-hmm.
And then there was other times where I wanted
conventional.
What? Yeah, I know. How weird.
How weird. Just
so
two
bizarre.
single people having sex. So odd.
What's the point?
and
You mean there's not an audience?
And there's been times where I've had sex with massive group sex, or things change. I think I don't know why
the flavor of the day, right?
Whatever's the flavor of the day. Yeah, I mean, I love a fillet steak, but I'm not going to have one every single day.
So, having played as a single guy, one of the things that we, and I know other lifestyle podcasts and people are constantly doing, are throwing out, quote, tips for single guys. We are constantly trying to groom the single male community.
We're trying so hard to get them laid.
We're trying so hard to get them laid.
We're trying so hard to get them in my DMs.
I think in fairness though, to single guys, and I want your take on this. We as couples often are not fair at all to single men. I think there is a tremendous, and it's sort of unspoken, but very present. There's a tremendous power separation, right? So we are the couple. And you should want us, right? You should pursue us. You should bend to our will. You should do whatever it is we want you to do. There's not as much respect given to the single male in a lot of these circumstances. And so I was curious, as having been a successful single male in the lifestyle, what would you ask from couples?
That's a really good question. I like that.
And what he's really asking is, what do you want from us?
Shut up, you're ruining it.
Sorry.
He's trying to be all
I had him right where I wanted him.
We're talking about a friend now.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, what position do you want me in?
Just saying.
What would I would want what I would want from a couple. I would want a good, honest conversation with them about what they're into and what I was into. And I have often found that having a social meet first works a lot. And I've spoken to couples before, and I've rejected couples before. They go, no, we don't do socials. We just have the guy turn up, and we meet and we go. It's like, no,
yeah.
And some guys will go, yeah, okay, I'll do that. But I know I've done that, and it hasn't always worked. But whenever I've had a social, it's when you have a social, it's always a guaranteed success.
Right.
And what I mean by that, I don't mean you're always going to get laid. It's going to be a success because you're either going to find a couple that you tick each other's boxes, and it's fantastic, and you have a great time. And sometimes they'll play straight after,
Yeah.
Or you realize that they're not for you, or you're not for them, and that's a success
because you learned something. Or sure,
because you've learned something. And if you'd have just gone around there with a box of condoms and your Viagra on your tongue and go, oh yeah, root vegetables, no, I'm not into those. you have
make
a goat.
sure you bring your tongue.
Well,
yeah,
and honestly, you're preventing awkward situations.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
Bad sex is worse than no sex.
Yeah, I mean, you're being successful in the fact that you'll either find a couple that you're going to have great times with, or you've managed to dodge a bullet.
Yeah.
Each one is a success.
I have found, and I'm interested in what you think on this. So when I first started in all the lifestyle stuff, I had only had sex with one woman for a really long time, like 20 years. And
wow.
20 years?
Well, how long had it?
Oh, you and me. I thought you meant before me. I was like, who the hell you have sex with for 20 years? Just kidding.
So Mrs. Snow's losing track of who I'm fucking now.
I'm like, who are you fucking?
So this was before that.
Oh, but you mean me.
I was thinking, back to my college days. I mean, I sort of joke that I could have fucked a screen door in college. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter, And honestly, when we got into this, I just thought it would be the same way. I learned quickly about myself that, oh shit, I actually need to have kind of a connection with a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be romantic per se, but it needs to be fun. It needs to be flirty. There needs to be some energy there. I can't just walk up and fuck you.
No.
That just doesn't work for me.
Do you have a thing over there called fuck and go?
What?
Do you have that term over there?
Yeah, that's a term.
What is it?
Well, fucking go. Basically, show up, fucking leave.
Well, is that like Grindr?
Yeah, it's like anonymous play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, come around, the missus will be on the bed. She may or may not be tied up or whatever. She might be blindfolded. You come along, you fuck her, and then that's gone. It's like,
I feel like that is just set up for fucking like horrible things.
Some people are into that, and I couldn't do that. I mean, whether it's because I'm of a certain vintage that, I don't get a hard on at the drop of a hat, when you're a kid and you're on a bus and the vibrations and I was like, whoa, little traveler companion,
I know.
Or as a youngster, you used to just get erections at the fucking wrongest time ever. And it's like, oh my God, why have I got a hard on now? When you get older, this just doesn't happen.
When you're a teenager, it's hard more than it isn't.
Yes. I have three rules that I've lived by since I got my half century. First is never pass up the opportunity to go for a pee. Okay. Secondly, never waste a hard on.
Okay, I think those are good.
Never waste a hard on. I can't push that one on. Never waste a hard on.
Never.
Thirdly, never trust a fart.
Never trust a fart. Good rules.
Good rules. This is going to be a sticker.
Rule two is something I've lived with for a while now. So if I'm at a club or something like that and I'm seeing something and it's like, oh, yeah, that's, I do something with that hard on. Okay. Whether it's myself or whether I find someone to help me with it, But yeah, it's, but as a youngster, my God, you could never live with that. You could never have that sort of rule.
You would never not be touching your penis.
Exactly that.
I'm pretty sure that's how I went through high school.
I mean, yeah. We've learned so many things today.
So many things. So many things. So you guys do a social group.
Yes.
Did you start that?
I did.
Tell us about that.
Okay. I split up with my ex last year, and I moved in with my parents for 4 months. How there weren't deaths, I'll never know, and it could have been either of us got killed, really. But I hadn't been in that area since I was 18. So 30 odd years away. Suddenly I'm back. I don't know anybody. My school friends, there might be some knocking about. There might be some people I knew from that sort of thing. But a lot of the people I knew were like 30 years ago, and so I didn't know anybody. I had some relatives and that knocking about, but they're all coupled up and they've got kids and that sort of thing. And so I got talking on Fab Swingers, and I got chatting to a few people, and I said, look, there's a lot of people around here, but there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of meeting. And this couple and this single lady, they were like, no, it's really hard. I said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just, there's like a social group up the road. I'm going to go along to it. And it was like, it's like 25 miles away, but because of the geography of that area, it took forever to get there. And I went along there, and what I found was it was difficult to break into because they all knew each other and all very cliquey, and I didn't know anybody there. And on the way back, I was thinking, yeah, this sucks. Yeah. I'm going to set one up. So I spoke to this couple and this single lady, and I said, look, do you know some people? Yeah, we know some people. Okay. Why don't we just find a location, a pub, a large but quiet pub where we can just meet up and just chat, and So that's a great idea. So I met up with this couple. We decided, okay, we found a pub which is on the edge of town, and they brought some friends. I bought some. Well, I didn't have any friends. The single girl brought some friends, and the nucleus of this group started. So I'd been on Discord, which is like a gaming platform, but it's been hijacked by swingers and wrong-uns. So
we can speak to that.
We have a Discord.
Every club has a Discord group now. And so we started chatting on that, and inviting people along to it, and inviting people from Fab Swingers onto it as well. And people liked the idea of, okay, you're a single guy, or you're a single woman, or you're a couple, and you want to meet me or us, and I don't know, we might not like you. So it's a case of, we've got this social group. Why don't you want to come along and have a chat? We're just a bunch of people, and you might like some of us, you might like none of us, you might get on really well, or you might not. Just come along, have a few drinks and chat. And
there's no pressure there.
And more people came along, and it really grew. We even had Mr. and Mrs. N came along with fun. A couple of their friends, and it's sort of grew from there. Really, it's it's been quite a success. It's just over a year old now, and there's about 30 people in it, and
awesome.
We have barbecues. The guys and the girls have each got their own WhatsApp groups. So funny. The girls have got their little group, and the guys have got their group. And we invited you guys along to it to see how that sort of thing is run, which sort of helped you, I guess, with your group. And it's it's good fun. Those guys have met up for curries, and we chat about the football and all sorts of things like that. And if anybody's struggling with mental health, which is it's something which is becoming more and more accepted these days, not so much of a taboo. We chat about mental health. If anybody's struggling, the guys are always pitching in, and
that's awesome.
It's really nice. It's really nice. It's turned into a really nice group of friends. We'll do vanilla stuff. We'll do very unvanilla stuff.
Unvanilla stuff.
We go to clubs, and we have games nights. And we have games nights. It's something that, and I'm really chuffed. I'm really chuffed that it's taken off so well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's a huge. We learned a lot in getting to know that group. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten a chance to come to one of your gatherings, but just in hearing about it and learning about it, because
it is a little far.
It's a long drive. So, but I think the key for me that really was sort of a light bulb coming on for me, and I think people could do this in their own communities. It's what you've done is special, but it isn't rocket science. What you've done is, and I don't mean to take anything away from it. What you've done is you've put out there a meeting opportunity for people that doesn't have to be, do we find them hot? Might we play with them? Are we into them or not? It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. What we share is an interest in the lifestyle. And I think that is something that is an underutilized activity in the lifestyle in almost every community.
I agree. I think when people think about the lifestyle, they think about just all of the fucking and all of the sex and getting involved and who do I like and who do I. When the reality is there's so much more related to just community, and it goes back to a conversation we were having earlier about that level of trust, that level of I can be incredibly open and honest and vulnerable, and it is incredibly welcome and supported. And I mean, people will help you with things like, I mean, you talk about mental health, but even related to feelings and worries and all the things coming up related to engaging in this lifestyle, right? Like, it's really hard to say, what if my partner likes someone else more than me, right? Like that's a fear that I think everybody has at one point or another, but sometimes they're terrified to bring it up because they're worried that, well, if I do that, then my partner won't, like, it'll stop this process, or my partner will be mad, or you know what I mean? So it's amazing how just having that level of connection allows for all of this other freedom of emotions and thoughts and feelings and vulnerabilities.
Yeah. And most people don't have that. Yeah. Most people don't have friends that they can actually talk to about this. Most couples and singles who are engaged in the lifestyle are in a very isolated place. They can't tell their friends. They can't tell their family. They have no one to talk to about it. And the other side of this too, and where I think it is hugely helpful for us and our dynamic, and I know so many people fall into this, is we have kids, we have jobs, we have a very limited amount of time in order to engage in the lifestyle. And so for us to meet someone via chat or whatever, and finally schedule a time to go meet them for a drink or whatever. And people are never close. You know, people are always an hour away, sometimes 2 hours away. So there's all of that to deal with. It's a lot of investment in time, effort, sometimes money on a couple or a person. And there's so much pressure, right? There's so much like, oh gosh, we've worked so hard for this meeting, and it could be terrible. And we might not get a chance to do it again for another month or something like that.
Or I have this, well, he kind of likes them, so okay, I'll go along with it. You know what I mean?
But I would so much rather go to a gathering of people, like-minded people.
Yeah, the social aspect.
Knowing full well that I may just come home and fuck your brains out. I would be thrilled with
okay with that.
I'm getting laid either way. I'm perfectly happy with that. And it is so much less pressure and so much more fun. Yeah. And so we've kind of tried to emulate your group a couple of times, not in such an organized way, but that's something we'd like to do more of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it is good fun. And it's, you're right. You get some people that come along. I mean, there's people in the group, which I love to bits. I'd never sleep with them.
Yeah.
But I see them as a really good friend, you know? And whether I'm going to be in this naughty hobby forever, I don't know. But I know I'd want to keep in touch with some of the people there if I did decide, you know, I'm going to sail off into the sunset now and do my own thing, you know, or move to a different area of the country or whatever, you know. And there's people that I've made friends with. We've had there's a certain member of the group. I'm not going to name her, but she is like she's like a mother hen. She's a real maternal sort of person in the group. Everyone looks up to her. Everybody loves her. And if it's somebody's birthday, she'll organize a whip round. She'll send them a card. If somebody moves house, she'll send them a card. She'll sort things out, you know. And she's always there for other people. And just before Easter, she actually got scammed. Somebody managed to hijack her phone.
Oh.
and empty her bank account, rinse her credit card, and just coming into Easter, which over here means everything is closed. Like from the Friday to the Monday, everything is shut. No bank, no nothing. So she couldn't get money. She obviously didn't have a card because that was all compromised. So we all had a whip round, and I went round with a card and a bunch of flowers. And I said, "Oh, hi, you've had a really shit time. Yeah, it's been awful. Here you go." She burst into tears when I gave her the flowers. I think, fuck, she's going to go shit when she sees what's in the envelope. She opened the card. She said, "Oh, you shouldn't have now. It fell £250. And she's like, "Oh, my God," and it's just, we're a group of friends and we'll help each other. You know?
Yeah.
It's more than just sex. We meet up for socials. We'll, we we have two different types of socials. We have the midweek one, because not everybody can make a weekend. So we have a midweek one, and people come along on a Wednesday or Thursday night, and we'll have a couple of drinks and chat, and then we'll all hug, and then we'll go back home. And the Saturday one, the Saturday one's different. We'll meet up, we'll have a drink, and we'll have a chat, and then someone will say, "Okay, let's order some taxis and go into town." And then they go into town and it gets messy. I remember the first one we had, and we went into this club. Bear in mind, this was in the town where I was raised and that I was living in with my parents. And we ended up at this bar, which is like a nightclub and a bar, and it's got all sorts of different things with it. You can dance, you can drink, you can eat, you can do all sorts of things. And we descended on this bar. And after a few drinks, I noticed that all of our group were kissing each other and fondling each other. And I was like, okay. And then I remember things started getting a bit hazy. I came back from the toilet, and there was two girls sat at our table who weren't sat there before. And they were asking questions. And they were saying things like, "So that's your husband, but that's your boyfriend. And you all live together." "Yeah. And so that girl is your wife, and that one is you always also sleep with, and you four have all had sex in the same room at the same time." They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, and one of the girls was like, "Oh man, that's gross." And the other girl was leaning forward and going, "That's fucking amazing."
We got one. We got
one.
It's working.
And on the way out, one of the bouncers because I'd been living in this town again for a few months, I'd visited this bar a few times, and I got to know the door staff, and I was just leaving. He said, "Hey, are you part of that bunch of swingers then?" And I was too pissed and tired and everything to come up with anything witty, so I just went, "Yeah," and then walked out.
I'm their leader.
I'm their leader.
I'm their leader. And the next time I came in, he says, "Next time you come with me swingers, give us a bit of notice. We'll have a bowl for you to put your keys in." It's like, Jesus.
Do swingers actually use bowls with keys? Does that happen?
I don't know.
I've never known it.
Maybe in the 50s.
I mean, I use a bowl for keeping fruit in and a key for opening doors and starting the car, but the two things don't often meet.
Right.
If I'm honest.
I think that's something, our show when we started out, and really still now, is aimed towards newbies, aimed towards people kind of entering the lifestyle, entering the hobby. And this is such a big thing that I want to drive home to people, is that for everybody who's getting into the lifestyle, obviously we're all pursuing the sexual experiences, right?
Yeah.
But I would encourage people so much to look beyond that toward groups like this, because there's
absolutely
aside from the sex, there's just so much good connection to be had here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to make it yourself. Sometimes you have to go out on a limb and do exactly what you did and start such a group. Which takes a certain amount of courage.
Well, there's definitely more interest in these kinds of things than people realize.
Yeah. Well, we just talked in the last episode about that Wall Street, or not Wall Street. It was a Forbes article. 1 in 7 people had,
I think it was 1 in 7,
expressed interest in being poly
or being in a non-monogamous relationship.
Yeah. And 1 in 7's a lot.
It is. It is. And a lot of people I've spoken to, I mean, I don't, some people are very open about what they get up to. So I'm a bit more private because, I've got like a part-time job sort of thing on the side, where I have to be a little bit discreet. So I don't tell all and sundry what I'm up to. But people I have spoken to, they go, "Oh my God, yeah, a threesome with like another guy and a girl there, and oh no, I don't think I could. Oh no, that's weird." But you look at the second highest category on Pornhub or it's threesomes.
Yeah.
I guess, you're right about that.
Yeah.
So they'll all go, "Oh no, that's disgusting. That's wrong." Blah blah blah. They go home, switch on the computer, and then go and watch two guys fucking a girl.
Yeah, and I think that's
So,
great. And that's the thing too. I mean, for folks who are new, a social group like this can be a tremendously approachable way, to get involved, because you could come to this thing and just meet people and talk to people and get a vibe for it. You don't have to be in this position where you've gone to dinner with a couple or with a single person, and there's that expectation of at least the potential for sex, right?
Yeah.
You can just go out and get a sense for it. And at least in our area, this sort of thing is important because we don't have a good lifestyle club that's within a reasonable driving distance of us.
I think it's probably an hour and a half away.
At least. There are a couple in the area, but they're not ones that we would go to. And so we kind of have to create our own fun. But what a great way to do it.
Yeah. And also, if you're just starting out as a single guy, one of the things a couple look for is verifications,
Yeah.
There's so many guys out there. So the first thing, okay, what have other people said about it? Verifications. And if you've got no verifications, it's very, very difficult to break into it, But if you come to a social group and, you get on well with people and, you say that you're on Fab or something, or, well, we'll do your verification. We'll say that you're a really nice guy, well turned out, non-pushy, gentleman, whatever. Yeah, and, and it's a good way of getting yourself into the scene, just making things easier for yourself. So even if you didn't play with anybody within the group, it might improve your chances with other people elsewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. We are doing a little bit of this on our own. We've decided that this year is the first year that we're going to host the Snowball. We've been talking about doing this party for at least 2 years.
We've been doing this for just over a year.
I know, but we've been talking about hosting a party for a long time, and we're finally doing it.
Mr. Snow just likes hosting parties.
I do like hosting parties, but we're finally going to do it, and it's at a phenomenal hotel and casino in South Bend, Indiana, and it is a gorgeous place. Yeah. Really, really, really nice facility, and we're so excited. It's going to be great. We're honestly scared shitless too, but it's gonna be great.
I said, we've said to this. We said to our friends, Lee and Misty, who have been on the show. We've said to them, well, if worst comes to worst, it's going to be an amazing time for the four of us.
One way or another, we're having a party.
We're having a lot of sex and a lot of party in that room.
It's going to be a shit show, whatever happens, but it's going to be fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
So perhaps we could trick you into joining us one year, if not this year, maybe a future year at the Snowball.
Yeah, there should be like a little shuttle, like the little UK shuttle. They all come over for the Snowball.
We need a special flight just for the UK.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
It would be fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good to see you.
Yeah, and it's been really great to see you guys as well and have a good chat. We've been threatening this for a long time, haven't we?
We have, and we'll do it again.
We will, and I look forward to seeing you in October.
Yeah, let's see if I can make it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We want to hear from you. Email us at snowmilf@yahoo.com. That's SNOMILF@yahoo.com. You can also join us on our Discord and have some fun interactive conversations with us. The link is in the show notes. Talk to you soon.